Are you a support player who isn't ranking up? Do you get blamed for not healing on every single game even though you're really trying? Well, in this video, I'll teach you how to be a better support player and win more games to rank up in Marvel Rivals. Let's jump into it. Tip number 1 is don't pocket heal. I know, right? You're a support. What do you mean don't pocket heal? Well, just hear me out, alright? As a healer, your number 1 priority is to keep your teammates alive, and just that. You want to keep them alive. There's way too many times I see a healer prioritizing a tank at half HP over a DPS with a quarter HP. It only takes 1 or 2 shots and that DPS player is dead. Meanwhile, that tank player probably has close to 300 health and could have taken a beating before being healed. It's all about prioritization. You always want to heal who is in danger of dying first. You should heal your supports first, your DPS second, and your tanks third. And the reason is quite simple. It's because your supports are the most important. Healing your fellow support actually makes your job easier. DPS don't have the massive health pool that tanks have, so you heal them first, and then you move on to the tanks when everyone else is healed up. But the bottom line is, if someone's on critical, you should try to heal them. If multiple teammates are on critical, heal your healers, then your DPS, and then your tanks. That's the bottom line here. You don't want to be sitting behind your tank just throwing all your healing at him, because most of the time, they're just going to take all that damage right back. Tip number 2 is to use your cooldowns effectively. It's fun for me as a Venom player to dive a Loki and see how fast I can get him to use his stone. That thing is on a 30-second cooldown and it can really change a fight, so you don't want to use it at a bad time. But at the same time, if you hold on to it for too long, you get to a point where you could have used it twice in the time you only used it once. When it comes to this, it would be better to use it and get less value if you can use it more often. Now, maybe Loki is an extreme example because his runestone is probably the best non-ultimate ability in the game. But this goes for all other supports too. You don't want to be holding on to your abilities too long because by holding on to your abilities, you're taking away precious healing and or value from your team. A better example of this is Cloak and Dagger's healing bubble. A common use for it is to heal yourself when you're getting dived. However, if you wait until you get dived, you likely already could have used it a couple of times during the fight to heal chip damage from the other team. I know this sounds stupid, but I have seen so many times where healers can get so in the zone of healing and not even use their abilities at all. Just holding down their right trigger or their left click and just healing. If you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel to see more videos like this. And I'm also going to start live streaming Marvel Rivals soon, so make sure you subscribe for that. Turn notifications on. I would really appreciate it. Also, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to leave a like. It helps me out a lot. That's it. Back to the video. Tip number 3 is knowing your hero. There are 2 types of healers in Marvel Rivals. The main healer and the off healer. Generally, your main healer is going to be the one doing most of the healing for your team. The main healers in Marvel Rivals consist of Cloak and Dagger, Invisible Woman, and Jeff. These healers have the ability to put out a shit ton of healing, and their offensive potential is not very strong, making it very easy to focus on healing more. The off healers, on the other hand, can actually pack a punch. They consist of Mantis, Rocket, Adam Warlock, and Loki. If you're playing one of these heroes, you have to realize that your healing is pretty limited. Your team will mostly be relying on your main healer for all the heals, but you have to also be there to help out. Maybe if your main healer is focusing on healing the tanks, you can focus on the DPS because they have a smaller health bar to fill up. Bottom line is your team should always have at least 1 main and 1 off support. If you have 2 main healers, that's great. Even more healing. It's okay if you run 3 supports. In fact, it's kind of meta right now. Just be sure to have at least 1 or 2 main healers to be sure your tanks are getting enough healing. Tip number 4, don't die. Number 4 is kind of a simple one, and that is don't die. I know it seems so stupid, but it really does change the game. Uptime is how much time you have when you're actually effective with your team. Meaning, if you die a lot, you have less uptime. It is important for all roles, but especially as a support player, that you maximize uptime to allow your team the best chance of winning. I know it can be hard sometimes, but the best way to effectively do this is to stay in a safe place while still moving and healing your team. If you are off healer, you can stay a little closer to the action, especially if you're Rocket, because you can just jet back out of there. But if you're a main healer, your number 1 priority should actually be staying alive, especially if you're the only main healer. Think about it. A fight can be won if you're down a DPS. If you're down a main healer, that fight's pretty much lost. This means that if one of your DPS or even a tank gets himself in a bad position to where the only way you can heal them is to expose yourself to a bad position, most of the time you should just let them die. You shouldn't heal them. And if they try to come at you with the bro, I'm not getting any heals. Explain to them that they were in a bad position and you weren't able to heal them. Hearing this, they might slow their game down or they might verbally attack you, the latter being pretty funny in my opinion. But at the end of the day, all 6 of us are just trying to work together and win. So just try to work with your team and keep that uptime to a maximum. The final tip, number 5, is also kind of a simple one. And it's don't pay attention to your stats. I know, right? Paying attention to your stats is what everyone does. But you have to understand, they aren't everything. For example, if you're a DPS player and you have 30,000 damage, while only having 4 eliminations. I mean, sure, you're pressuring with all the damage, but you're not getting picks and you're probably losing fights. It's the same thing when you're on support. Yes, you want to be pushing out all the healing you can, but that's not everything when playing support. Support also means dealing damage when necessary and using all of your abilities to help your team win that fight. Healing is very important and you should pay attention to how much you're healing, but also focus on everything else you can do to help your team. Instead of focusing on that number, focus on who needs the healing and when. Because of this, you'll be more effective. And that's about all for me today, guys. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, again, make sure to subscribe. I'm going to try to stream some Marvel Rivals this week. I'm not sure exactly when I'll get to it, but just make sure those notifications are on, and you'll get notified when I go live. Also, I wanted to thank you guys again for all the support on my recent videos. The channel's been really picking up, and I do appreciate it. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. See you in the next one.